I trim the seams to 1/4 of an inch, press them open, folded wrong sides together, and press that the entire length of the way. If you want a perfect corner in your quilt, you have to be sure that none of this seam is in your corner. So I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. I start somewhere in the middle of my quilt, and I leave about a 10-inch tail or longer. Raw edges next to the quilt, and I'm just going to place a pin in here because I don't want it to move as I'm measuring. And I'm going to run that binding all the way to the corner. I'm going to turn it up on itself. I'm kind of doing a pretend sew. And then I'm going to turn it down on itself. And I'm going to run it. Let's see if I can turn this without knocking the camera over. Now I'm going to run down the next side. So here's my first seam. So nowhere near the corner. That's perfect. And I'm going to continue. And usually I have a lot more room, but when you have a sewing machine on the table, you have a camera. I'm going to continue to run that all the way down. There's the next seam. Come to the end. Raw edges still on the outside. I'm going to fold it on itself. Fold it back down. And continue down the rest of this quilt. That was corner 2. Corner 3, there's my seam. So far, so good. Turn it on itself. Turn it back. Turn it forward. And that's just because that's the kind of seam we're going to make, or the kind of fold we're going to make as we're putting the binding on. So that takes up a little bit of space. We just want to make sure that that we take into consideration that amount of binding. So I'm just going to continue all the way down until I get to that pin. Now, if you're find that you have a seam that ends up in one of the corners, just like this one. This corner, I wish it would have happened on the first one. This corner, if I fold it back on itself and then down, I have maybe 8 layers of fabric that's right here. I am not going to get a good point. So what I'm going to do is move the starting point of where I pinned it. I'm going to move it down maybe 2 inches or up 2 or 3 or 4 inches. All right. And then I'm going to run that whole process again to make sure I do not have a seam that ends up in that corner. All right.